Good morning, happy Wednesday, and thank you for joining us. Once again, Wednesdays is for the discussion about mastery of the middle. And this is a little different, obviously, if this is your first time watching this, than what Lee does on Mondays. And then she talks more about the self-care aspect of being an entrepreneur. And then on Fridays, we get together and we discuss a topic that's relevant to entrepreneurialism, but more of topics of like working on your business versus in your business. In fact, this Friday, we're going to be talking about getting out of the starting gates, what it takes to do the inception phase of an idea to making it into a true business. So please join us for that. So now that we've gone over that, let's get into today's topic. My topic today is about putting your blinders on. And the point of that is it's a very easy visual to think of, for me at least. A little backstory that this is actually something that my father used many, many times growing up, as an example of not being distracted by others, not paying attention to others, in personal life especially. But as I got older, I started applying it to my business and to being an entrepreneur. In fact, my father actually used this as a part of a sermon when I was growing up, and running the race of life and not being distracted. So that's why this is very near and dear to my heart, was because of the fact that my dad was the one that gave me this visual. So now we're going to apply it together to being an entrepreneur. So there is an expression in the animal kingdom, and I didn't know this until I used this for coaching. I love this. It says, eyes on the front, born to hunt, eyes on the side, born to hide. And I thought it was really interesting because I never actually stopped and thought about the fact that depending on the position of an animal's eyes depends on if he's hunter or the prey. And in the animal kingdom, this is a way to identify the difference between hunted and the hunter. For example, we'll use lions and horses because horses' blinders were going there anyways. Lions have eyes that are meant for hunting, whereas horses have eyes on the side and could easily be considered prey. So is there advantage to being one or the other? Well, it actually depends on the situation. Both could be relevant depending on the situation. But again, with talking about blinders, we're going to stick to that subject. And good morning. Good morning. We're going to stick to that subject of horses because it goes along with the idea of blinders. So in the wild, horses need their peripheral vision to survive. Again, that's why their eyes are on the side. That helps them survive in the wild. In a race, it's actually, though, detrimental. So if you're talking the difference between a wild horse and a racehorse, this could actually hurt them, and it could end up that they run off course unless there was a method used to keep them focused. Well, now we know why this sounds familiar to being an entrepreneur and why we're talking about it today. There's a reason why even in training, the trainer starts training the horse to run races with their blinders on. The blinders actually are attached to the horse's bridle. And this is done so that the horse cannot be distracted by what's behind them, next to them, and stays focused only on what's in front of them. As an entrepreneur, we need to train with our blinders on. And yes, I know, Lee, this is one of your favorite subjects of horses. So this is now your story now to tell in the future. As entrepreneurs, as I was saying, that we actually need to learn to train with our blinders on. Thank you so much. I agree. It's a great analogy, and we can all thank Papa. So self-sabotage will happen if we take our eyes off the prize. It can be negative self-talk. It could be comparison to others, seeing how far somebody has gotten in their career, their path, their entrepreneurial path. All of those things can lead to self-sabotage if we are not conscious of this. Our path is our own, and the only way that we can succeed is accepting our race is only for us and completely individual. If we give in to comparing ourselves to the next person that's running next to us or who's potentially right behind us, we could potentially let that catch up to us and therefore not finish the race. It's very easy, and you will always have to fight having your attention divided as an entrepreneur. And this happens when we're actively doing things that we are supposed to, and also worried about the things that we need to do. All of it kind of collides together, and then it's always worry, and we then have a slowing down to get to our outcome. So here are some principles that I wrote down that I took away as examples or things to remember about having horse blinders on. That it's easy to get distracted by looking at the wrong tasks and then using that as an excuse to do the things that are maybe sometimes easier. Maybe sometimes we don't want to do the hard things, so we keep doing the repetitive things. And that means that we're afraid of making the wrong step, and we've delayed starting the race, or we've stalled out. The other one I thought about was we are allowing ourselves to be weighed down by comparison. And this will allow us to, or cause us, I should say, to slow down and potentially stop racing altogether. How often do entrepreneurs quit? How often do entrepreneurs use daily life as an excuse of why we can't get things done? Trust me, it never gets easier. That is for sure. Let me share this comment. It's something I have to work on. You have to refuse all self-sabotage. Yes. And on that subject, self-sabotage, I've personally, anytime that I catch myself doing something that could be like that I'm aware of, I try to remember self-sabotage is generally attached to being the beginner or inexperienced, but it does not mean that we are not qualified. It just means that we need to learn something more. So what I personally do is if I catch myself hesitating and thinking, I don't know this well enough, or how do I do this, or just avoiding, my question to myself is, what is it that I don't already know? What is it that I need to work on in order to not let this slow me down? And a lot of times, sometimes something as simple as, thank you so much for that comment, something as simple as old-fashioned notebook and pen. And for myself, I do something that's called mind mapping. The best analogy I have or comparison, I should say, for mind mapping would be the Sherlock Holmes movies. That helps me every time. If I am stuck, I know I pulled out the big piece of paper last week with Lee. That's what I do. I get out a bunch of different colored pens. I get out a really big piece of paper and I map out the problem. And that seems to normally fix it for me. Second step sometimes is get away from it. Not meaning stop, not meaning avoid. I'm saying set it down for a moment. Go meditate, go outside, go for a walk, even wash your hair. I have the best shower thoughts ever. I think we all do. Meditate on it. Think about it. And also put it out there and say, I need an answer to this. Go to your trusted sources. Ask them if they have any help on it. Or like, for example, with Grit and King, we have a collective team of entrepreneurs that work together. That's another great place to float ideas. I'm also in an entrepreneurial group that we have a chat that goes on all day, every day long. I can drop anything in there and say, is there somebody that's an expert in this or that? So sometimes the answer is maybe not to do everything yourself, but align with the right people. So all of those different solutions can lead to, or I should say, prevent for me or help me prevent self-sabotage for myself. So we want to be very cognizant of that and aware of that as well. And then the other one that I wrote down is comparison. If we compare ourselves to the person that's running the race next to us, then we could be more concerned. Here, let me share that. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm very glad that it's something that's helpful today. If we compare ourselves to the person that's building their business next to us, they're running their race, we're running ours. And remember when we started this conversation, our race is individual. That this actually can make us veer off course. And I always think of that one this way. And as I was writing this, I thought about it. Have you ever had an occasion where you're in a go-kart or a car or whatever, a vehicle that you're driving, and you are forced, before we had all the fancy bells and whistles on cars, showing my age, you would have to be forced to physically turn your body to look into your blind spot. Well, what inevitably can happen? That means we shift our weight and then the car can follow that pattern. Same thing. So if we are constantly looking to the left or right, looking what other people are doing, we're actually veering off of our heading and therefore could end up not making our goal or hitting our goal or ending the race. So that is something to think about as well. So using blinders as a tool for me personally, I think about distraction, self-doubt, and staying on track. Those are the three that I really want to always use the analogy of putting my blinders on. Thank you very much for the comment, because it has always helped me. And in fact, almost daily, I actually think of this for myself. And I actually, if I'm starting to get distracted by a project or something that might be on social media, I actually visualize blinders. And I think about this analogy all the time. It has immensely helped me in my path as an entrepreneur over the last almost 20 years. So I would say, I know it sounds like a silly little tool or a silly little exercise, but you know what? Sometimes these silly little exercises are exactly what we need to be able to keep ourselves on that path. So, as I said at the top, I'm not going to keep everybody too long just because of the fact that it is a beautiful Wednesday. I hope the weather is beautiful where you're at. It is a little chilly here this morning, and I'm only grumbling slightly because a little cool in the morning means beautiful afternoon, sun here, everything like that. Whereas if I was in Chicago, where my other home is, it's probably in the 20s right now. So Lee will have to confirm that for us, Lee, if you're paying attention to the weather today. So I am not grumbling. It is beautiful. It is sunny outside. The leaves are beautiful. It is a perfect day to be outside. So I hope everybody can enjoy where you're at. But talking again about what our group is about, I wanted to talk about that for a moment right before we go. The whole point to PJC for us, the reason we started this, one was the fact that Lee and myself have been best friends for 27 years, and we always have lived very close in proximity. Well, now I split my time and I'm more in Texas than in Illinois. So because of it, we started having virtual coffee in our jammies. And then we decided, why isn't networking and being around other female entrepreneurs this way, this easy, I should say? Oh, somebody else from Dallas. Hey, awesome. Make sure you reach out to me. Entrepreneurs in Dallas, we got to stick together. So I really enjoy the fact that Lee and I were always conscious and always trying to stay as close as possible, but make sure our relationship and our friendship is as healthy as possible. That's something that's very important to the both of us. And so we started doing coffee in our jammies. And beautiful part of technology nowadays, we can do those things. So we went ahead and started doing it. And then, like I said, the idea came forth that this should be the way that women get together. I think it was Lee sent me a TikTok the other day about having adult pajama parties for women. And I'm all for that too. I think it's great if you can strip away the rushing and the stress of life and just spend time with the people that you care about. I want to extend that out to other female entrepreneurs. I consider myself an advocate for female entrepreneurialism. I always have, and especially for me, for single mothers to become entrepreneurs. For myself, that is exactly what I did almost 20 years ago. And it's how I took care of my family. It's how I supported my kids. And funny fact that my children do not understand when you go to a water park that there's normally a pretty big line, because generally speaking, we go on a day when it's completely quiet. We go on vacations when it's quiet. We're able to be flexible with our time, mostly because of my choice to be an entrepreneur. And so my children think that's very normal. And so I want to help other single moms be able to do that as well. By extension, of course, all moms, and by extension, all females. I do believe that we all deserve to be entrepreneurs because it gives you a real sense of contentment. And I think that it gives us a chance to buy back our time and be able to give it to the ones that we love more. So that is my major reasons why I absolutely love being an entrepreneur, and I want to help other women. So again, that's why PJNC is a thing. That's why it's growing. I love all of the comments and the interactions in the group so far, and I'm just waiting and dying to see it grow even more. So please, by all means, and comment and get involved as much as possible. And one of the things that I would love to say, and I put this on my post as a reminder last night, but if you're watching this live or as a replay, drop in the comments, even afterwards, picture of your coffee cup or your pajamas if you feel brave enough. I'm in my blue jammies today, so I did not add coffee, but again, it already has a little lipstick on it, but I did both. So there you go. I went first. I would love to see others join in that trend as well. So thank you so much for coming with us. Oh, I just looked at my notes. I apologize. There's one other thing I wanted to remind everyone that today, being Wednesday, is our day for our spotlight posts. Our first one went over so incredibly well, and then we followed up the following week with a podcast episode of that person that was in the spotlight. And we're going to try and keep that going always, where we get them on a spotlight and then a podcast episode. We have a new person, woman, beautiful entrepreneur that is going to be a part of our spotlight post today. And then we'll be following up with a podcast episode so you can hear their story, get to know them, reach out to them, connect with them, and also support their cause. That's something that's really very important. There's so many, again, beautiful entrepreneurs already in this group, and we know it's going to grow, but we don't know each other's stories. And each story is individual, but yet there's a lot of times there's ways that we can support each other, and we don't even know it. So we're going to take the first step and always do that. We're always here. We would love for anybody to reach out through DM, set up a time to do a networking virtual coffee with myself, Lee, or both of us. And when we do that, the one rule that we have with that is no pitching. We won't pitch, you don't pitch. It's in the effort of networking and growing our communities to be even stronger. So if that's something that's important to you that you would like to participate in, please go ahead and DM myself or Alethea, and we will go ahead and set that up. So don't forget, look for the spotlight today. Look for us to be back on Friday. And like I said at the top, that Friday we have two amazing, beautiful entrepreneurial women that are joining Lee and myself on Friday. We're super excited. There's a whole reason we started these. And our topic is going to be inception, or the beginning of the path. Where do we start as entrepreneurs? And what's really exciting for me personally is we have Catherine coming on, who has an incredible resume as an entrepreneur, single mother as well. And her path is just amazing. Podcast star, author, incredibly successful, beautiful business. She helps women with retreats. And then we have Alethea and Jocelyn joining me as well. And both of them are younger entrepreneurs. So it's a very interesting conversation between the four of us, because all of us have different reasons for becoming entrepreneurs. Each of us have different whys of what we're doing and who we want to help and our path going forward. And that's something that I've learned more and more as I speak and network to more and more entrepreneurial females, is that none of us ever have the exact same story or the exact same path. And that means a lot, because that means all of us need to recognize none of us are competing. And every one of us can be cheerleaders for each other, and that we can be each other's support completely. So with that being said, you will get to meet two other of our group members on Friday. And we're looking for people for the next couple of weeks, women coming up in the next couple of weeks, to join us on Friday mornings and also to go on the podcast. So if you are interested, go ahead and reach out as well. So that is the end of my discussion for today. I really wanted to stop at about 20 minutes, so perfect. To anybody that watched this live, make sure that you throw a picture of your coffee cup or your pajamas in the comments. Please, come on. Somebody's got to be brave and do it first. And then we will go ahead and see you back here on Friday morning. In the meantime, we'll drop in the spotlight. Tomorrow, we're going to be posting. You're very, very welcome. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that everybody loved this today. Thank you so much. Make sure that you come back for Friday and have your comments ready, meaning between now and then, think about the fact of what you would like help with as you start your journey as an entrepreneur, or what would you give as advice to a younger entrepreneur? And please drop it in the comments on Friday as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to the discussion, and I'm looking forward to it going live. So on behalf of Lee and myself, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for watching this. And as Lee always likes to say, that if Lee and myself can do it, you absolutely can handle this path of entrepreneurialism. Have a wonderful day.